To divide and conquer, where explicitly we have discussed that um, talk about the 5 different type of methods or approach to find out the solution to a recurrence relation. And why it is discussed under divide and conquer, because we try to go for a recursive formulation when we try to implement a divide and conquer algorithm. And the another slide which I have posted, that is on Quicksort. If you want, I can share my all algorithm analysis UG materials or chapter wise, maybe divide and conquer. There will be 6, 7 slides, and these things are being strictly followed from the Sahani and supplement with materials from various web sources and others. So with a request, sometimes people try to post it into the some slides here or some public portal. So this is a request, don't do that, use it for your own purpose. Why we say so? Because we have not included a disclaimer statement which is a part of any material, because we are taking the materials from the various sources. It's true that I am not claiming that this is something I or everything is from me or I have the creator, but a declaration statement is mandatory. So don't try to put it into the public forum, because very often I find few of my slides are loaded by some UG students. It's there and a lot of questions are loaded. Uh, so don't do that, because sometimes might be some figure I have used. It is exclusively copyright by someone and I have not taken his permission. Okay, so we'll start with divide and conquer. Uh, yeah. So typically, as you know, we'll quickly overview this. The divide and conquer algorithm. It talks about the origin of the divide and conquer algorithm, but we'll try to look into as a algorithm design technique. So to use divide and conquer as an algorithm design technique, because this is the something is critical for us. We are looking it as a algorithm design technique, and if you really want to apply this thing, the references will be talking about some exercise problems which is appearing in Klinberg at TEDS or sometimes in the Sahani book. And the last part of this presentation, we have included few exercise also. So we can try it out. Sometimes it is very easy to work out. The question is maybe half page, but the answer is of 2 lines. So it says the divide and conquer is algorithm design techniques. We must divide the problem into two smaller sub problems. It is not always true. It can be a 2 sub problems, it can be 3 sub problems, it can be 4 sub problems. And if you will divide a problem into number of independent sub problems in every pass, or when you try to uh, reach at a small problem condition, uh, the more sub problem you divide at each layer, the convergence, I mean the solution can be find out with a better time complexity. Then here one other activity is there. When you try to solve the problem, or in the process of trying to solve a problem, you are actually finding the solution to the sub problems. Then the sub problems, or the solution to the sub problems are combined to find the answer to the original problem. Okay, so this is a pictorial representation. We start with a problem is S. You see, when we say divide, actually we divide the instance. You see, we divide the input data. There is nothing called the problem is divided. We divided the input data into disjoint subsets. These are the appropriate terms one can use. We divide the input data S into number of disjoint, 2 or more disjoint set. This is more appropriate definition. 2 or more disjoint set. Then we recursively solve the subproblem. Why we say recursively solve the subproblem? Because the subproblem, if the root is with n input, this may be n by 3, this may be n by 3, this may be n by 3. Okay, you know binary search? Yes,
sir.
binary search. So what we did, we tried to divide the instance into two halves. Okay. We place the middle limit, then we search for the right or the size for the left. Okay. Have you heard of the ternary search? That means the idea is that instead of dividing the array into two halves, we are dividing the array. We find out the midpoint and divide the array into two halves. Instead of that, suppose I want to divide the array into three halves. Is it possible? Ternary search. Is it possible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then what will be the complexity? Then what will be, which one is better? Binary search or ternary search is better?
Ternary search.
Ternary.
So what will be the recurrence relation for binary search? If n is the number of element, we are writing the time complexity is Tn. Okay, for binary search, what I will write?
2Tn by 2
2Tn by 2.
plus 1.
Sorry, it is wrong. It is wrong. You
Tn
see,
by 2, sorry.
only n by 2, only Tn by 2, because you are solving only half of the sub problem, right?
Yes, sir.
So similarly, if you look into the ternary search, that will be Tn by 3 only. Got it? Tn equal to Tn by 3. Am I clear? Then what is the next term? My question is, should I remember the recurrence relation or I am looking into my algorithm to find out the solution?
We can derive it from the algorithm.
No, we have to derive from the algorithm. We have to number the algorithm statement wise, and statement wise will comment that how the problem is going to be divided. Okay, we'll come to that. Then there are three steps: divide, recur, and conquer. So sometimes this conquer is a separate algorithm, or because of the property like some sorting techniques or some problem, we don't require a merging activity and it is automatically taken care of by the data structure. But if we look into a merge sort, it is well explained. We divide the S into S1 and S2. We try to solve S1 and S2. In turn, S1 and S2 is divided. So then there is something called subproblem. How long you can go on dividing? So most important is the subproblem. If I am going to divide a matrix, I may assume that my subproblem is 2 cross 2. So there are similar other problem also where subproblem is size is 3, subproblem size is 4. That's why while writing a recurrence relation, one must define the subproblem. Like suppose a binary search, T1 equal to 1. Yes or no? How you write the recurrence relation for a binary search? T1 equal to 1.
T1 equal to
1. Then you are writing Tn equal to Tn by 2, n by 2, something. I'll come to that. Why I'm saying something. Then we are explicitly writing for n greater than 1. Okay. So that is to be mentioned. Otherwise, your recurrence relation that represents a divide and conquer algorithm, or you are writing a simply recurrence relation, it will not accept it to be correct. Okay, then you see this point, we define a base case. Base case, that is T1 equal to 1, T1 equal to C. Okay, so similarly this condition you have to mention T2 equal to 1. So what is the difference between T1 equal to 1 and and T1 equal to C or A or B? What is the difference? Suppose someone is writing T1 equal to 1 and someone is writing T1 equal to A. What does that mean?
It means that operation is taking constant time.
It is constant time. Yes, please.
So T1 equals to 1 means there is only one step except for the part which depends on n, and T1
No,
equals to
no,
c means
no,
there is
no, not no,
constant number of steps.
not T1 equal to 1, but overall both actually convey the same meaning. It's a constant. Okay, it's convey the same meaning.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes some author argue, suppose you are performing one operation, whether A1 is greater than A2. If that is the only statement will execute to decide your small problem, then you say T1 equal to 1. But overall it conveys the idea constant. And you know what is the role of a constant. Role of a constant means you know your f of x, you want to express the f of x in the order of gx, and you are writing a statement f of x is less than equal to c of gx or c of gn, right? Whether you are writing c or d or k or u, that is the reason the upper bound is not going to be affected. Somebody select the constant as 4, somebody select the constant as 6. It's not going to be affected the overall function, the gx, which is going to be covered. So this is the role of the constant, role of the particular constant. Okay, now there is a base case must be defined. So this is the simple step where actually if you are writing a recurrence relation and you are missing that, it will not be appreciated. So first step is to divide, which is dividing the given problem into smaller sub problems which are identical to the original problem. Also these sub problems may or may not be of same size. That means we may be having the similar problem like merge set, equal size, nearly equal size. Okay, I am coming to a particular merge set or binary search. When we try to write down a recurrence relation that Tn, what is the n? N is a even number or n is an odd number? Are you getting me? Every possibility is there. N is the even number, n can be an odd number. So when we talk about a binary search or merge search, are we talking about n is even or n is odd? If somebody will ask you what will be the time complexity of the binary search, if n equal to 2 to the power m plus 1, 2 to the power m whole plus 1, what will be your answer? What I meant to say, are you getting me? When n is 2 to the power m plus 1, m plus 1,
Odd number, sir.
odd number, but the 2 to the power m plus 1 is less than equal to 2 to the power m plus 2. Yes or no? 2 to the power m plus 1 is less than 2 to the power m plus 2. Because this type, this side I have added 1, this side I have 2. And if I am going to write it, it will be 2 to the power m plus 1 to the power m plus 1. Got it? So if my algorithm is true for 2 to the power n, it is true for any n. Are you getting me? So this is the way, this is the way it is answered. Okay, I'll just quickly go to the what I try to discuss. I'll start with the question so that you'll have a feeling that how we are going to do it. Yeah. Look into this problem. Does it appear an infinite wall problem?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is application of binary search. Okay. You see how the solution progress. Okay, because we cannot go one by one, but I have already shared this slide, and so this is a problem where how we are approaching, and finally we have a sequence summation of I over 3 plus n, and we are finding a complexity of 2 to the power n square plus n. And now, so this is the way we are looking for a linear time solution or improvised solution. So we want to do that, but here always we silent about this particular k value. Okay, So instead of saying n element, we can say it is 2 to the power k or 2 to the power m is the most ideal case while solving the many divide and conquer algorithm. So what happens in exercise, you will be always finding, maybe let me check, I think this will be not appearing this exercise. You'll be finding this is a very common question. Sir, you told the complexity is something when n is even. What will be the complexity when n is a odd value? So there the argument is that when I talk of a n is a odd value, but it is again covered by one even number. Are you getting me? It's a big O notation. We talk about upper bound. We are not talking about the least upper bound. Suppose you given me number 2. For 2 it is fine. When you say it is 3, it is covered by another even number 4. So that can be also expressed in initially the 2 is 2 to the power 1 and 4 is 2 to the power 2. So when you are going to ask me the complexity about 3, then I'll look for a upper bound. That is, I'll calculate the complexity for 4 and 4 fits into my formula. So I can say what will be the complexity. Am I clear? This is one of the very tricky question you'll be finding when it is mentioned n is odd. Okay. Now when we'll be entering into the analysis, you'll be finding we will have always a ideal assumption. You look into this, I will be coming to that. A typical recurrence relation. You see, we start with a base condition T1 equal to C. Then we have a recurrence relation Tn equal to Tn by 2. Is it visible to you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Analysis.
Yes,
See,
sir.
here we have clearly written n equal to 2 to the power k. This must be mentioned when we talk about n. It must mention, or you can say if I am not mentioning, I assume that n is 2 to the power of any integer, right? Then here I am writing Tn by 2. Then there is a function which is free from n. That means that particular function does not depend on the instance characteristic. Okay, so this is the one of the right way to write down the, or the correct way to write down a recurrence relation. Okay, we'll continue systematically. Okay, so we have the 3 steps. First step is the dividing. Then comes the effort. What is the amount of effort you need to divide the problem into sub problem? Let us say there is a problem in a graph. Okay, you want to divide the graph into 4 subgraphs. Definitely effort will be more. But when you are coming to an array, dividing an array into 2 half or 3 half, it is just the manipulation of the index. Okay, so this is the requirement. So when we are going to divide, so sometimes the for dividing, you have to run an algorithm to divide. Are you getting me? When we actually study the divide and conquer only for the array, actually there is no cost for dividing the array. Are you getting me? If I'll say pass on the a value pointing to the first element and b value pointing to the 7th element, so this is a part. Another part, another pointer is pointing to the 8th element. Another pointer is pointing to the last element. Let us say 20. So array is divided. Okay. So there is a cost associated with dividing the problem. For some problems, we have to write down an algorithm which divides the problem into subproblem. So one cost is for dividing, but typically we study the problems where dividing the problems into subproblem is 0, or it is automatically taken care of because we store the items in an array. We're taking the advantage. Second step is to conquer that we solve this subproblem recursively. Fine, that is understood. Third step is to combine. So we have a one effort for combining, and second is the effort, or we need an algorithm to solve it, and third we may need an algorithm that divide the problem into subproblem. So there are 3 costs, or the 3 efforts are involved, and all these efforts are function of n. All these things are function of n. If I have to combine 4 files, I have to pay something. If I have to combine 2 files, I have to pay something. If I have to solve 20 sub-problem, cost will be something. If I have to solve 5 sub-problem, cost will be something. If I am dividing means typically it is the manipulation on a data structure. Dividing some data structures is very easy. Some data structures dividing is that there will be structural modification. New data structure is to be created. Okay, new data structure is to be created. Very simple thing. If I try to divide a linked list, then definitely I need little bit of more effort while when something I am dividing in the array. In the dividing in a array, I can manage with the index. For if I am going to divide a linked list, then I need a first pointer to the first element of the first list and another second pointer to the first element of the second list. So 3 costs are involved. Looking into this, we are going to write down recurrence relation. So the size of the subinstance to which instance is split. So sometimes there are the threshold or points to be taken care of below which the problem cannot be subdivided. That means you need to define a small problem. You cannot go on dividing up to problem of size 1. And sometimes in some problem, you'll be finding even if I divided the subproblem into subproblem size 1, I am not getting benefit. Example is that if you look into the insertion sort, a small problem of size 15 is better find out using insertion sort. So I am going to design a hybridized algorithm by applying the quick sort, and I'll check if the size I am referring like this. I assume my set is S. After placing the pivot, we have two independent set S1 and S2. So I mention the cardinality of S1 means number of element in the first partition and number of element in the second partition. So when I am finding cardinality of either S1 or S2 is less than equal to 15, I'll call the insertion sort. So that means we are here defining the subproblem, right? We are defining the subproblem. There what we will write? We will not write T1 equal to 1. There will be writing T15 will be or Ti will be equal to constant when I is less than equal to 15. Are you getting me? Ti equal to constant if I is less than equal to 15. There I'll assume that a insertion sort will take a constant time when we have less than 15 element. So then the size of the subproblem into which the instance is split. So the size of the subproblem here you can assume as a 15. The number of such instances, how many subproblems are there? Time taken to solve a single subproblem will be multiplied with number of subproblems. So this is the way Sahani book it writes like this. This is we write solve I means instance means input. So the size function returns that there are n number of. Then here we are defining the small problem. Here we are defining any small size. Small size here it is a variable. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 8. And then you have a direct method to solve the solution. Let us say I'll write if n is less than equal to 15, then I am calling instead of direct solve. Here I'll write I am calling the insertion sort to do that. Or else if there are more than 15 element, we divide the I into a finite number of subproblems or instances. Okay, then we find out solution to Si is the solution to the input set II. That means one set of input I1 will be find out the solution is S1. Then we combine the solution. So here similarly we have one function combine, one function solve, and one function is that this may be a constant or there is an algorithm which directly returns the solution. So this is a general framework how it is discussed, and this is one of the new term to some of you people or those who are following a particular text maybe come across this word control abstraction. Any paradigm we are discussing, there is a general framework for all the algorithm which is to be followed for the design of the algorithm, for writing or presenting the algorithm. Okay, so that is called control abstraction. what is the difference between control abstraction and the algorithm? In algorithm, we write it using instance, that is using a variable n, or we assume that there is a n number of element which is to be sorted, then we write down the algorithm. Here you won't find any instance or any input like n, m or something. So that is the uh, mm, that is the difference between the control abstraction and divide and conquer algorithm. What I meant to say, you can use this framework to write the merge sort, you can use this framework to write the binary search, you can use this framework to write the uh, convex solve solution to the convex solve algorithm. So here you see the algorithm divide and conquer, we talk about P, we are not writing N. That means we develop a divide and conquer algorithm to find out the solution to the problem P. Then we do not know what is a small problem, but we say if it is a small problem. How we can check? By checking the problem, we can say it is a true or false. Then we return the solution SP. It is something is telling like this: if T1 equal to, if number of element or cardinality of n equal to 1, then T1 equal to 1. So this step return the solution T1 equal to 1. Or else, you see, in a control abstraction or in an algorithm, it is silent. It is a silent whether you are writing an algorithm. I repeat it again. Divide is maybe an algorithm. Divide is again an algorithm which divides the problem into independent subproblem. You see, it is very clear. The P is divided into instance. The P is divided into instances like P1, P2, Pk, say any finite number instance. Then apply divide and conquer to each, solve the each of the subproblem. So recursively you solve P1, P2 up to Pk. And this represents, because in the previous page we see this particular thing is represented as a solution 1, second term is represented as solution 2, third term is represented as a solution k, and instead of writing that, it is writing this is first solution, second solution, kth solution, all will be combined, all will be combined to find out the solution to the given problem. Okay, so this is the control abstraction, and you will be finding the control abstraction for the two flavor that I'll share. Of course, I'll not discuss. Maybe if time permits, we can discuss for greedy algorithm. I say under the greedy algorithm, we have two different type of algorithm we can write. One is subset sum paradigm. Another is called ordering paradigm. Okay. So for subset sum paradigm, we have a control abstraction. For ordering paradigm, we have a control abstraction. So that will be a framework. And we may ask a person who to write down a algorithm for 0-1 knapsack problem. So it will be explicitly mentioned, write down a subset divide and conquer, greedy algorithm using subset sum paradigm to find out a solution to 0-1 knapsack problem. Just remember, there are two different algorithms possible in case of greedy. There are two different algorithms also possible in case of dynamic programming. Okay, so there are some reasons that say why we go for divide and conquer. This is the simplest approach, and this is more efficient than a brute force method. But not necessarily a efficient one, because when you have got number of sub problems, all sub problem has to solve repeatedly. So you see, the drawback of this particular divide and conquer for some problems actually comes as a input for a designer to select the dynamic programming, because here I have to solve all the sub problems. If it is possible to design a framework where sub problem is to be solved once only, that is the dynamic programming. Okay, so then it says you must analyze the cost, because sometimes dividing a problem cost will be very difficult, and not like the sorting, it will be negligible. Okay, divide and conquer may or may not be implemented recursively. This is very interesting thing. Most of the people says, you know, we will always have a recursive algorithm, but there are problems where we may not require a recursion. I'll tell you a very interesting thing. If you follow the Sahani, how many merge sort algorithm you'll find that will make your study interesting. It's not a one algorithm. You will finding 3 different algorithm under divide and conquer, and that will give you a feeling how a data structure is used. So always we say we follow this book like that. It gives a different flavor. How the problem is being analyzed, how there are number of time of merge searches are possible. Okay, so divide and conquer is not suitable where the solution, the size n depends on n sub problems. Okay, that means if you have a situation, the problem you try to solve a problem of size n, but it required there must be a problem of n minus 1 is to be solved. So then it will be a worst case. Okay, then it will be a worst case, same as the brute force. But this thing is again taken care of during dynamic programming. Then the reason is that overlapping subproblems, where subproblems have the dependency on each other, and there is no easy way to merge those subproblems, and merging will take a sufficient time as solving the original problem. Then divide and conquer is not suitable. I repeat again, we are looking as a designer point of view. We are reading a problem statement. We try to find out a solution to that. Then first divide and conquer comes to our mind. We analyze the problem, say no, divide and conquer cannot be used. Then greedy cannot be used. So this is the way we need to know what behavior a problem presents. And if this problem presents a overlapping subproblem, so okay, we cannot apply divide and conquer. A problem statement is given, someone asks why cannot you use the divide and conquer? Your answer will be there are overlapping subproblems. I need independent subproblem to be there, then only I can write. Okay. So this is a example. We'll start with the merge sort. Is the classical example of a divide and conquer algorithm. Now you look into this. The way you write the algorithm, it says a lot of things. So this algorithm is not appropriate because if I try to discuss it, I don't have any statement numbers or line numbers. I cannot refer it. I cannot write a note explaining that this particular line represents the small problem. These are the 4 routines which is used to find out the complexity. Okay, without looking into that, you look into the effort. You have one effort that is called partition, right? You have one effort called partition. You have another effort that you recursively call the algorithm merge sort and merge sort. Okay, then you have another algorithm called merge. So that means this particular algorithm requires recursively one algorithm, it calls itself, and in addition to that there is partition. So what is the partition? So maybe when you try to divide a problem into sub problems, you have to execute an algorithm. You have to execute an algorithm. Any example where we execute an algorithm to partition, and partition is important? Where we use a partition, which is very important.
Sir, quicksort.
Quicksort, yes, very good. Quicksort is the example. Partition algorithm is costing, but what about merging? Is anything there in quicksort for merging?
No need.
No, because the algorithm is such, because you place the pivot at its place only. So there is no subproblem, or the solution to the subproblem is to be merged, because whenever you able to partition, there itself you place the element into its permanent position, right? Okay, so in this way you can differentiate the effort, and sometimes you'll be finding a typical algorithm where partition for which you have to pay, for merge you have to pay. Then when a designer is looking to design a different algorithm, you see the general framework of divide and conquer is fixed. I cannot do any manipulation to that, or nobody can do it. Now, if somebody says, okay, you designed me a new algorithm, let us say for quicksort. People looking for a different quicksort algorithm. Where is the key? You will touch to the partition function. Got it? You think designing a quicksort algorithm means Can I design a new partition algorithm? If I can design a new partition algorithm, then it will be a new quicksort. Got it? So this is only just to change your look, or I mean the way you approach to solve the problem. Okay, we'll not discuss much on this advantage and limitation of the um, uh, divide and conquer, but one thing is very important: the recursion is slow. How you can explain recursion is slow? Any of you? How a recursion is slow on? When we learn the programming, people says always go for recursion, but recursion is very bad. Why? Yes. Why recursion is a very costly affair?
Involve a lot of context switches will be there, and like we'll have to save the status of the calling process on the stack.
Very good,
System
very
stack.
good, very good. I hope this answer is correct, and I hope everybody should understood. You have to do lot of housekeeping, lot of contest you have to save. And where the contest is to be saved, Rajat? Where the contest?
System stack.
No, sometimes system stack is not sufficient. Okay, what is the stack
Then
size of your? So what is the stack size of your computer? That you can find out from the processor. What is the stack size? You see here. Here, can you guess what are the element of the stack? Any good guess?
Local variables.
There are more than
Contents
one
of the
variable.
registers.
There are
Content
more
of
than,
registers.
yes,
And
yes, yes,
content of
yes.
program counter, return
Right, right,
address.
right. If you really want to look into example, how a recursion does the housekeeping, or how what will be a structure of a stack when explaining the computation of a recursion, very simple like n factorial from the book where we have learned maybe I can say 25 years before, Tremblay and Sorensen. Tremblay and Sorensen now published from the Tata McGraw-Hill, and during our student days it was available from original McGraw-Hill book. There you will be finding example. They have traced it, that how they are storing the different information during a recursion call. So there you need a special type of stack where you have to create a structure or a record. Maybe you have to store 20 information when you try to save a contest. So a record of 20, I mean, you have to create a record with 20 different fields, and there may be homogeneous storing integer value, and a stack is not a single element. Okay, what we learn, stack is a single element, either it is integer stack and boolean stack, but always remember stack is a single element of a stack is also a data structure. Agreed? Single element of stack is also a data structure. There you have to create a new structure maybe to save your contest. So sometimes the system stack which is available is not sufficient. A runtime stack has to be created to realize the recursion. Okay, so I mean one must should not take the black box. Recursion is costly because it consumes more resources that a chemical engineering student, mechanical also answer. But have a feel, have a pride that I have understood when a process is running, these things are stored. Okay, fine, thank you. And so this recursion is slow, and I think you know what are the different type of recursion. That also you prepare parallelly. It will help you for to answer in the better in the exam. And then use I think in one class I told you which type of language supports which type of recursion. So this is the information you try to get the different type of recursion and theoretically, and what type of recursion is being supported by a typical language, one or two. Maybe somebody says C, C++, or Python maybe supports the recursion or not supporting recursion. Okay, so recursion is discouraged. So very simple problem may be complicated than the iterative approach. Then suppose by adding n bit n numbers. So if you write a recursive algorithm, you can do it. So you can prefer a iterative one. So debate comes. Binary search is better or There are two versions of binary search. You know that? Yes, two versions of binary search. How many ways you can implement the binary search? Yes. How many ways you can implement the binary search? Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
How many ways you can
Yes,
implement
sir.
binary? How many ways you can implement? You can write a iterative algorithm. You can write a recursive algorithm. Okay. If someone will ask you, can you find out which one is efficient? How you are going to analyze? Okay, you perform a theoretical analysis, but that sometimes is not going to show the behavior if you will implement them. So you have to go for simulation and you have to compare whether the iterative version is better or the recursive pattern is better. So my suggestion, I have attached a IEEE paper. Please go to that, go through that. It is from a IEEE pedagogy journal, where it is the title is that average case analysis of binary search. Okay. Um, we will continue. You see, here this is the typical recurrence relation for your divide and conquer algorithm. I think now it will be clear to you because there is a cost associated with dividing. For some problem, it is 0. Then here the sum denotes because you are solving number of sub problems. So this is the effort required to solve a typical ith sub problem. So you have such n number of sub problem, it will be a sum of that. Okay, then this is the cost combining. So these are the three quantities are involved. But for a typical algorithm, maybe dn is 0, maybe here in binary search, maybe for merge sort we are writing this sum value will be 2 because you are solving two sub problem 2 n by 2 like that. Okay, and some of the books or you may be acquainted with this simplified form of the equation where we are writing tb, tn is the instance, b and c. Is the equation is correct? Is the equation writing is correct? Answer is no. Why? Because I have not mentioned about b and c. B is integer. If integer is it 0 or greater than 0, that need to be mentioned. What will be the smallest value of b? B will be start from 1, right?
One.
So I should
One.
write b is greater than equal to 1. What should be the value of c?
1.
Because
Greater than 1.
greater than 1.
It will be greater than
Not
1.
equal to 0.
Yes, not equal to 0. Fine. So this way we can avoid the queries. Even if we answer, we should not get again a question that you have not mentioned. Okay. So different book uses a different type of notation. So here this is a good example of a typical example of a recurrence relation where we try to write the right hand side term with reduced power. It may be linearly reduced or it may be reduced by some multiplicand. So this is the simple form of writing, but this is must. The small problem or the best condition must be defined. A good example is your Fibonacci number. We have defined f of 1 and if we have defined f of 0, then we are writing f of n equal to like this. And sometimes here also if you are writing for here it is absent. So what we will write, this is for n equal to 0 and this is for all n greater than equal to 1. Okay, so this is the way we represent. So we are looking into typically the common type of recurrence lesson Tn, where this is A is the number of subproblems of size n minus 1 plus B. You know B is representing sum of the effort. What effort? Because it may be divide, because this effort is for the conquer, maybe the effort of combine. Okay, and here similarly a t n by 2 plus b n plus c. You have some linear activity which is a function of n, then you have some constant activity. So this is the different recurrence relation which is written. Now, the most common form of the recurrence relation which is used for divide and conquer is the Tn equal to a Tn by b plus f of n. So when we are writing f of n is a function which depends on n. So now if you come to the merge sort, what you are writing? Tn equal to twice Tn by 2 plus what will write?
N.
Which algorithm? No, that is not actually n. If you look into a merge sort algorithm, you are invoking one more algorithm. Which algorithm? Merge algorithm. Merge algorithm. So merge algorithm operates on n element, totally n element. So that's why we have written it in a function form. Later it is proved that f of n equal to cn or dn, some constant again function of n. But actually this represents a complexity of a algorithm. And this is the complexity of the merge algorithm. And what sometimes we try to do, because in order to make the recurrence run well defined, this particular Tn by b is sometimes ceiling function is taken, sometimes floor function is taken. So when you are going to take ceiling function, when I will be using a big O notation, okay, upper bound, right? If you are going to take a upper bound, then we can go for a ceiling function. Okay, and if I am using a calculating the lower bound, then I'll be using a floor function. Okay, then there must have an initial condition. This initial condition will be mentioned whether T1 equal to 0 or T0 equal to 0 or 1 or any constant. Okay, so now for the merge sort, this is clear. So this is which I was talking about. This is people memorize, right? People memorize it is Cn. But if I'll say from where you will get the Cn? Cn is the time complexity of the merge algorithm, right? Cn is the time complexity of the merge algorithm. And Tn is you call the element of size n, and there are two sub problems. Okay, so the first art is the way to write the problem, how to write the recurrence relation for the problem. Maybe for matrix polynomial to polynomial multiplication we'll write like this. We'll come to those examples. Now come to the merge sort, and this is the reason why I prefer, other than I can say the Sahni book. It is well defined. It is well defined. You see which line indicates the sub problem. You see why I have written B here. If you look into that, when I start, I have a one comparison at step number 6. You see the way I explains to you. Step number 6. When I am analyzing algorithm, if I will not mention my step number, how can I discuss the algorithm on my text? You see, when we will be writing the thesis or you will be presenting a paper, you need to discuss your algorithm. So to put a discussion on the paper, you need a reference, that is the step number. So writing algorithm must have a step number. You see, if low is less than high. So what some people argue, this is a single operation. So one operation is executed to decide whether it is a small problem or not. Okay, so then you may write one, and sometimes people say no, there are 2 or 3 more number of steps are there, so I'll be doing certain amount of work. So instead of writing one, I'll write B or C or any constant, right? Okay, so now if you look into this, then we have there is a effort. So where this effort will be there, definitely this effort has to be take care of that. So somebody may argue what is where I am including this effort. Maybe some authors argue, okay, we negligible that effort, and no, here it is appearing. But another person says, I'll write down the recurrence relation 2t n by 2 plus b n plus I'll write here d. Is it correct? Are you getting me? Somebody will say, I'll take care of the effort at the step number 10 and I'll write it. So yes, you can write, but while solving the recurrence relation, you can argue again it is a constant which is added, is not depends on instance. So we are going to ignore it, or we will not consider with some assumption. Now, merge set you are calling recursively. Now you call another routine merge. So this merge routine will assume that, okay, don't get confused with this B term. Here it is B. You may use another variable. It's a typical constant. It does not mean that this B and this B is identical. Better to write this as A or some other constant. Okay. So now if you look into this merge, you can write the complexity of the merge is initially this is f of n, and that f of n is in particular is a bn, some constant multiple of n. Okay, so this is the way we write down the recurrence relation, and maybe a typical recurrence relation. Here you can take number of steps um, to be taken in the small problem. Sometimes the number of arithmetic operations people try to put, but always it is advisable if you are doing the number of steps, please use a variable like b, c, d, because constant has no impact on the upper bound or maybe lower bound when we try to express the complexity using big O, omega or theta. Okay, these are the 5 methods which we discussed yesterday. That substitution method, telescopic sum, recursion tree, Gaussian test, and Master's theorem. Let me tell about recursion tree because it's a divide and conquer algorithm, so it is possible to construct a recursion tree. And suppose you want to theoretically compare two algorithms and you are finding that you need to compare binary search and ternary search, then definitely if you are going for n number of element or a finite number of element, you can easily sketch a binary tree or a ternary tree and argue that the ternary tree is a fatty tree which is of less height. So if you compare the height, you can say which one is the better, and based on that we can develop a expression that will calculate the complexity. So time complexity of a divide and conquer algorithm can be found by solving the recurrence relation. So the time complexity for which we are looking is nothing but the solution to recurrence equation. Okay, now we are looking into three different type of time complexity, and that is your worst case, best case, and average case. So then we may require three different recurrence relation that represents best case, worst case, and average case, or it may so happen that from a single recurrence relation, by applying certain condition, we can find out the best case, worst case, the average case. Okay, so we'll quickly overview these techniques. I think mm, many of you are acquainted with method of substitution. Method of substitution, you see, I am using this formula and I am using the same formula to substitute the first term. That means I want to replace t n by 2. So I am using this formula, I am writing it will be t n by 2, 2 into t n by 4 plus b n by 2. Look into that. So I substitute multiplied by 2 and I will solve it. But while doing so, we land into a general formulation. I land into a equation. Here is 2, it is 2 square. It is n by 2, it is n by 2 square. Here it is bn. Then again similarly to if I will resubstitute, I'll be finding 2 cube. Again a substitute, I'll be finding 2 4, and I'll continue that. And where I'll land last step, here I'll have a assumption. Always you remember I'll have a assumption. Uh, the n will be 2 to the sub integer power 2 to the power of k. And like this, there is a assumption n equal to 2 to the power I of n. Any divide and conquer algorithm analysis will have a ideal assumption n is equal to 2 to the power some integer power. So we'll continue like this. This will be the last step, or we'll get a general step like this. So if I'm doing like this, it will be definitely going to converge, and then we try to resubstitute to find out the what will be the general form, right? And if you write like this, it is coming to, it's increasing. So you have a general form. Once we have a general formulation, then we will be find out the, with the assumption that it has to be substituted and the solution can be find it out. Okay, so um, we used to derive many problems. So this is the example of the substitution, or people call it as iterative substitution. We substitute the first term and then we find out this is the general formulation. Finally, we develop this thing. Tn will be expressed in the general formulation. And once we got the general formulation, we have to solve this equation. So you can find out easily sum of this series. So 2 to the power k minus 1, and then where and how long I'll be going to do that, you'll be finding this Tn to the power k. If you'll go on substituting, we'll be finding a small problem. So when you are finding a small problem, that has to be replaced. So when you find a, so that's why the small problem is going to come to the picture. So you can substitute, you see, for n, divide by these things will go on recursion. But if you'll go back to this, here you are finding 2, the R is the general. But if you start with the series, you'll be finding a condition where there will be a single element. So you can substitute this formula. So maybe with a mathematical, simple mathematical calculation, this will be 3n plus 2. So here, as I have explained in the last class, it is 6n plus 2 or minus 2. So it's a linear function of n. So immediately what people does, they write it like this, Tn is the order of n. But actually what we are doing, when you look into this particular 3n plus 2 minus 2, this will be less than a gx. I have to guess a c of gx. And with that argument only I can prove. And this is not going to be true for all n. I need to find out for which n this is correct. Okay, so but it is possible to find out a solution using the iterative method. Okay, so there are many exercises. Then comes your telescopic sum. Telescopic sum is very easy. You take the recurrence relation and try to write it down again by reduced power. This reduction will be linear, or this will be by the power of n. That means maybe you are writing n square becomes n, then it will be half of that, it's like this. So this is a linear reduction. This is my first equation, or the given equation in the recurrence relation. So this is the first equation. Then what I am trying to do, I try to reduce the power of n linearly. So I write it as Tn minus 1 equal to 2Tn minus 2. How long I can continue? How long I can continue? I can continue because when T1 equal to 1 is defined. So I'll continue up to this term when T1 equal to 1. When here I am finding T1 term, this formula says I'll find T2 term here. Okay, this is plus 1. So what we can do, then if I am finding T1 equal to 1, it is defined in the problem. Then I'll add this. I'll add all this equation. I'll add all this equation except T1. So what will happen? This Tn minus 1, n minus 1. This Tn minus 1 cancel with this. Okay. So this Tn minus 2 will be cancelling to the first term of the right hand side. That is, this Tn by 2 will be cancelled. So if we will go on adding like this, or cancelling the terms, we will be finding this Tn will be there. This Tn will be there. Okay. Then in the last, this T1 also cancel. So this side only Tn. Agreed? What will be there in this side? Because n minus 1 is cancelled, n minus 2 is cancelled, n minus 3 is cancelled. So only remain is T1. Only remain is T1. Now how many 1 are possible here? How many such equations are there? How many such equations? T1 equal to 1, I am taking from this. What is? So we are finding a term here. Number of equation 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Let us say n minus 1. So here n term comes there. Okay. When n terms comes there, what I will write? Tn equal to How many 1? N1. So this is
N1.
N. So that means you are writing a equation Tn equal to n. When you are writing Tn equal to n, it is a linear function of n. So we can write Tn equal to order of n. Got it? So this is the telescopic sum, and there are many problems for which you require to find out the time complexity under divide and conquer. It can be used. So this is the example of telescopic sum, how we find out the complexity of the merge set. I think hope it will be clear. Otherwise, you can ask me to explain. Okay, so I try to put what best possible for all the 5 method. And now this is the recursion tree. So you know graph has a property, and we know the property of the binary tree. We know those things while studying the binary tree, how it can be, how a general formulation can be developed. So all this idea is coming to the picture. Now you see, we are performing certain activity or the effort, we note down the time. So how much time we are spending here, how much time we are spending the here. What we say, for single element the effort is B. How many elements are there? N element. So effort is Bn. But this n element is divided into 2 disjoint sets. So so the effort in this is nothing but the effort with all the n nodes. So that is the reason we try to distribute. We try to construct a tree. How much effort? How much effort? We apply the effort in the level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3 up to the nth level where we can find all the nodes. Okay, so then we calculate the effort. Maybe it is a time taken, it is the energy spent, it is the type of computation is being performed. So this total time is going to represent the effort or the complexity of the algorithm. So this is a recursive tree. Then is your guess and test. The advantage of the guess and test is that when I try to find out a solution to this recurrence lesson, I'll try to put a good guess. That means I have to guess a particular number or a function which is going to cover these things. And if you'll make a very wrong guess, then it will take a lot of time. So here you see, if we'll substitute that this particular term is less than equal to Cn log square n, then with a single guess we can continue, because if you will substitute the n value, you are going to meet this condition. That is the reason the condition is to be mentioned. After writing, this Tn will be less than equal to Cn log square n. So we can find out the complexity to be n log square n. This is Gn, understood? This is f of n. Is it clear? This is f of n. Tn is the f of n. This is C of Gn. So the Tn will be order of Gn. So this is the way we find out that solve the recurrence lesson with different method. Then comes to the master's method. So in master's method, what happened? We used to derive this thing in a Blackboard business. How master's method is actually solution to the master's method is find out. But in some of the book, you'll have a very complicated equation. But the master's method will look into the simplest form of the master's method. So the simplest form of the master method is like this. So we'll start with a recurrence lesson Tn equal to a t n by b plus theta of n to the power k. That means the function which is appearing in the second term is tight bound. Theta n to the power k, that will be equal to big O n to the power k and omega n to the power tight bound. So with this, we have defined the small problem also. The small problem also defined as the theta of 1. That means there is a constant effort where A, B, K are all constants. Then the solution to this recurrence relation is like this. Three condition. If A is less than equal to B, complexity will be this. If A is equal to B to the power k, it will be this. If A is greater than B to the power k, it will be like this. This theorem is a simplified version of a general theorem, and better you follow the simplified version so that just by looking into a recursive algorithm, we can immediately find the time complexity of that particular algorithm. That means once we have written down the recurrence relation for an algorithm. So we don't have to do much exercise or derivations. We try to identify which one is A, what is the value of B, what is that. Now please look into this question. If I am looking into a problem like this, my A value is 4, N value is sorry, B value is 2. So which condition it implies? It implies to this condition. So once you implies to this condition, you can write down the complexity is order of n square, because this is A T n T of n by B. B value is 2, A value is 4. So A value is less than B to the power k. If it is true, then we'll be applying the first condition. So this is the best way for a designer, or maybe for exam point of view, you don't have to go for the derivation unless and until it is mentioned. So simply you can do the I mean, you can follow the master's method to find out the complexity. Here is the another example. If log base A equal to 1, so the on this case number 2, and so Tn is the order of n log n, log square n. So these are the methods. There are many examples are there how to find it out. Then we have something derivation. You must skip it. It's a proof of master's theorem which I derive in the class. This is the example how to find out the complexity of a recursive algorithm. So this is much important because many recursion algorithms are there. This is another way of finding the complexity when we try to argue the particular algorithm which uh, within the domain of the loop, and this is going to calculate. So now look into this binary search algorithm, divide and conquer binary search algorithm. So here we are writing 3C plus D. This is an interesting example. When we try to analyze, we are actually finding some actual efforts, C comparisons, D computation, and so we can find out uh, how many such things happen, and we can include that term in the recurrence relation. But what is interesting, even if you add so many terms here, those terms are free from n. So I can combine those terms and I can write one more variable x, y, z, f and treat it as a constant. So the recurrence relation which is going to be solved, Tn equal to Tn by 2 plus f. Now how you solve it? How you solve it? Can you have a solution using master's theorem? Yes. A equal to 1, A equal to 1, B equal to 2. If it meets the condition, you can substitute and find out the solution. Okay, so this is again we are going for substitution, we find out the solution. So this is one of the example when we discuss how we can improvise the multiplication of two n-bit numbers, because a number has to be multiplied with all the numbers, so complexity of n square. So this is a brute force method where we are able to find out or reduce the running time from order of n square to n to the power log 3. Okay. So this is a good example for the addition. Okay. So this is the few problems. This is the what we plan to discuss on the basic of the divide and conquer. Then I'll jump to the quickset. Maybe I'll just I'll take a few minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes more. I'll not continue. Quickly we go through the. Are you finding on the screen? I hope so.
Yes,
So yes. So very simple thing. We select element as a pivot. Opens many questions to you. Which element you will be selecting as a pivot? Choice is yours. So select a item as a pivot. What happens after the first pass, or what a pivot is? I mean pivot routine does. It places the pivot into such a place or it's a permanent place in the array after the sorting, so that all the elements in the left hand side are less than equal and all the elements are right hand side are greater than equal to 65. So now you tell me, have you heard about the stability of a sorting algorithm?
Yes, sir.
So what is that exactly? Stability.
Sir, occurrence of
Keeping the order intact of duplicate elements.
If there are duplicate elements,
Sir,
yes,
sir, means when there are duplicate elements, after sorting also the order of the duplicate elements must be intact.
must preserved. Huh? Suppose there are 2, 3. Huh? So the first 3 is occurs first in the sorting list also. The first 3 will be first. Okay. The relative order of the items will be preserved. So quicksort is stable?
No.
Sir.
no, sir.
No, sir.
No.
No,
Why
sir.
no? This is the reason. Huh? We are not sure. This side less than equal to this side greater than equal to. If somebody will ask you, design a stable quicksort algorithm, what you will do?
Sir, one
Less
side we
than
will
or-
not give the equal.
Yes, very good. So if you are defining that condition in a deterministic way, then you can have a stable quicksort algorithm. Okay, fine. So very good, it is clear. So now the steps will not discuss because mm, this is obviously we place the pivot, then divide the S into S1 and S2. So this is again a illustration how to write mathematically what is S1 and what is S2. That S1 is the set of all elements that belongs to the S difference P, because P is the pivot element. All my elements are in the S, and condition is that all elements in the S1 is less than equal to P. Okay, so do you need any extra memory space or memory element to implement the quicksort? Do you need any extra memory space, or
No, sir.
quicksort
No,
is a
sir.
in? So I
No,
think
no, sir.
No, sir.
Yes.
okay, I think you
No,
are
sir.
clear about which sorting algorithms are in place sorting algorithm.
Sir,
We,
the algorithms which do not require extra space
hmm.
or extra
So
space.
so that means in the input array itself, it will be sorted. Okay, so it's an in place sorting algorithm. So immediately you can give the example of in place sorting algorithm, except which one?
Bubble sort.
Which one?
Merge sort.
Merge sort.
Merge sort. Very good. Any other thing?
Heap sort.
Heap.
Heap
Heap
sort.
sort.
Heap is in
No,
place,
sir.
sir. Heap is in place.
Heap is
In place.
In place?
heap is in place. Very good.
Yes,
Heap
sir.
is in place. Heap does not require any space.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So heap is a heap or a binary tree is implemented in a linear array. Okay. Clear? We are creating
Yes.
the heap in linear array itself. We are creating the heap in linear array itself, because we can represent a heap using
Yes.
linear array. We can represent a binary tree in linear array. Okay, where it will, if I store the node at location number I, my left child will be 2i, my right child will be
2i plus 1.
Left side.
5 plus
I-
1.
Plus 1.
That's all. That's all. With this logic, it is says. Okay, so that is not the concern. We'll just come to why do we take the example of the quicksort. The quicksort example is considered maybe when we try to talk about the three cases, that is the best case, worst case, and average case. Okay, here the first assumption is that n is 2 to the power k. We should always assume n is 2 to the power k. Assuming n into 2 to the power k, you see, when I am placing the pivot, that is accidentally the pivot may be the smallest or largest, what happened to the S1 and S2? Either any partition will be 0 Are you getting me?
Yes,
We
sir.
start with a set S. We select a pivot, and suppose we select the pivot as the smallest element, then either S1 will be 0 or S2 will be 0 depending on my arrangement. If I am arranging them in ascending order, my S1 will be 0. So when I am writing a recursive formula, I am writing call S1 and call S2. So I must have a small problem defined, that is T0 equal to T1 equal to 0. Because when the element is there, then I don't require any effort to sort it. A single element present in the array is already sorted. Got it? So that is the best case. That is the best case. So best case is supposed to be repeated if the conditions are met for other case also. Otherwise, what we'll do? This Tn is divided into 2 Tn by 2. So here is the assumption. In the best case, the array is divided into 2 equal halves. Okay, 2 equal halves. So why this n is there? Which routine contributes this n?
Partition.
That is the partition.
Partition.
This is the partition. Okay, so if somebody has written n and another person is written cn, who is correct?
Cn.
Both are correct.
Both are correct, but cn is more appropriate because you are looking into a complexity of your algorithm, right? Huh? So it is covered by this. But again, I can argue n is correct because initially you are writing cn, you are multiplying certain constant, then I am going for a little bit of higher n. Suppose n is 2 to the power k, and I want to prove that this logic for 2 to the power k plus 1. So I can prove that this Tn equal to twice Tn by 2 plus n is more generalized than that means 2t plus n by 2 plus cn. Okay. Now you have a choice. You got the recurrence relation. You have a choice. You can go for method of substitution. You can go for method of telescopic sum. Here, what we try to do, we have used method of telescopic sum. We take this equation and try to modify like this. We'll try to Tn equal by n. We divided n to this equation. Then with a little bit of manipulation, it takes a form like this. Tn by n equal to 1 plus Tn by 2 and n by 2. So once we got the relation, so we can go for telescopic. That means I reduce the n to n by 2, n by 2. So this will be n by 2 will be n by 4. After writing such equation, so one no changes because one is free from n. So then I'll write down the equation. Okay, how many equation that you have to say, because I have assumed n equal to 2 to the power k. Please remember, I assume n equal to 2 to the power k. So there will be k equation. Agreed? There will be k equation because I am dividing them equally into 2 halves. So my n is assumed to be 2 to the power k. So there will be 2 to the power k number of steps to be k number of steps to be performed, so that at the leaf node we have a single node. So we go on dividing. So now this is crucial. It will come to T1 by n. So T1 is already defined, T1 by 1. So that I'll substitute 1 plus T1. Then I'll finally write down the recurrence relation Tn divided by n equal to 1 plus T1 divided by 1. T1 value I'll substitute from here. That is T1 is substituted to 0. 0 divided by something. So the term is there vanishing. So then how many ones are there? Please write down this equation, because please write down this equation. It will be Tn divided by n. Then 1 plus T1 will be 0 divided by 1. Okay, plus k. Agreed? Plus k. Write down n will be 2 to the power k. So because this is k number of equation. So 1, 2, 3, triple dot again, last equation. So you will be finding this thing, this equation. So this is the k, and for we have assumed that n is 2 to the power of k. So then when n is 2 to the power k, k can be substituted with log n. Write it down. N is to the power k. Take the log term from both the sides. If that left hand side will be log n, right hand side will be the k. So we'll be finding Tn equal to n log n. So then we can write this will be time complexity will be order of n log n. This is for the best case. Okay. Similarly, for the worst case, what will happen? This happens either you are selecting the smallest element or the largest element, then the recurrence relation will take this form. Okay, that means this will be Ti. If you are going for the worst case, there will be single element 0. There will be 0 element, so this does not arise. So only the problem will be linearly reduced to a problem of n-1. Clear? In the worst case, either you are selecting smallest element or the largest element. So both the cases are possible. The cardinality of S1 will be 0 or cardinality of S2 will be 0. So we can write down the recurrence relation like this. Then we can use telescopic sum or we can use method of substitution. Then we are finding a series n into n plus 1. So there is a n square term. So we write Tn equal to n square, some constant. So complexity will be Tn equal to order of n square. Okay. So any question for today? We'll stop with this. Almost we continue for 1.5 hours.
Sir,
Yes.
in the base case analysis, could we
Right.
have done the derivation in the substitution or telescopic method?
Choice is yours. You can do it. You can do anything. There is no restriction in best case. You can do it like this. You can use any of this thing. Okay.
Sir, have you shared this PPT or you will share?
Yeah.
later?
No, already I have mailed it. You check in the Netris. I have mailed 3 things. I have mailed the quick set. I have mailed the beginning divide and conquer. I have mailed one IEEE paper, that is average case analysis. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we close this meeting, or anybody has to say anything?
So I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
Can
Please. Yes.
Sir, while reading about dynamic programming, I came across a line that said it is not only limited to optimization problems.
Yes.
So,
there are
how we can solve
you just
non-optimization problems?
you just look into that when you are finding a binomial coefficient. Okay. When you are
Yes, sir.
finding a binomial coefficient, does that problem has an objective function? Like maximize this, minimize this?
I guess
That is the answer. Suppose you are solving a 0-1 knapsack problem, you have an objective function. But solving the Fibonacci number or binomial coefficient, we don't have any objective function. It is neither asking that this is to be maximized or to be minimized. But still we use the dynamic programming framework to find out the solution. Okay. Yes, anybody? Okay, we'll end the meeting. Thank you. Thank you for your joining. Okay.
Thank you,
So
sir.
thank you for your interest.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.